In this adventure, I'm exploring Cuthbert, Georgia. From its iconic water tower, its century-plus old buildings, its historical college, and cemeteries where every grave seems ready to tell a story. Hey everyone, I'm Danny, and welcome to my channel, Danovator, where my experiences become your adventure. If you like the unique and unusual, then you came to the right place. Remember to please subscribe, and please hit that bell so you'll be notified when I release my next video. Behind me is the former home of Fletcher Henderson Sr. This is where he and his wife, Ozzie, raised their 3 children, Fletcher Jr., Irma, and Horace. Fletcher Sr. was a respected educator and longtime principal of the Howard Normal School here in Cuthbert. But it was his son, Fletcher Jr., who carried the family name far beyond Georgia. Born in this house, he grew into one of the most influential jazz band leaders of the early 20th century. His arrangements helped shape the sound of the swing era, and his orchestra laid the groundwork for big band jazz as we know it. The Henderson home sits on Andrew Street, the perfect lead-in to our next stop, the historical Andrew College. Old Main, the oldest structure on campus, is a Victorian masterpiece that kinda reminds me of the Hogwarts Castle from Harry Potter. I didn't get to film from the top, but this view from the stairs was amazing. Andrew College was founded in 1854, becoming the 9th oldest college in Georgia, and it provided a way for women to get their college degrees. One of its early alumni, Zula Cook Brown Toole, went on in 1897 to become Georgia's first female newspaper founder. About 50 miles south of Cuthbert, in the city of Colquitt, her newspaper, the Miller County Liberal, can still be found. She is buried in the nearby Colquitt City Cemetery, having passed away on October 27, 1947, at the age of 78. She is laid to rest next to her husband, Joseph. Back at Andrew College, I was lucky enough to peek inside the Staples Hall. A big thanks to Officer Hawk for allowing me that privilege. Those stamped ceiling tiles are something you just don't see much anymore. Over time, the Women's College evolved into a 2-year co-ed school, home of the Fighting Tigers. So located in the back of the Andrew College property, I noticed this awesome looking church. We'll go check it out. Its sign says, a historical site established in 1867. The Pitts Memorial Library showcases a few historical quotes. Which is a beautiful example of its liberal arts tradition. Andrew College has its own place of worship, the Jones Chapel. Finally, there's this placard that tells the story of Andrew College during the American Civil War, when the campus became Hood Hospital, caring for the wounded soldiers.
East of the college is the First Baptist Church. And across the road are these two homes which are ready for Christmas. And not far behind these homes is the Greenwood Cemetery. After entering the cemetery, I make my way over to the northwest corner. This is where I find the Civil War statue looking over these 24 marked graves. Some with names, some are unknown. In this open grass area, there's this monument that lies over the remains of 157 Confederate soldiers who had died not only at Hood, but at other nearby Civil War hospitals. Greenwood Cemetery is also the resting place of many of Cuthbert's earliest pioneers. On the opposite side of the grounds, you can visit the final resting place of Fletcher Hamilton Henderson Jr. He was also a World War I veteran. He died on the 29th of December, 1952, at the age of 55. He is buried next to his mother, Ozzie Lena, and his father, Professor Fletcher Hamilton Henderson Sr. And before we head to our next destination, I want to add that Professor Fletcher was a principal for 64 consecutive years up until his death.
To be a principal for 64 consecutive years, that has to be some kind of record.
From Greenwood, I head to the east side of town to the historic Riverdale Cemetery, which sits right next to one of Cuthbert's most iconic sites, its water tower. And beside it once was Cuthbert's Coca-Cola bottling company. On the rear of a building in Town Square, I found this reminder of the water tower, and this is where I parked my car. In this alley, I found this set of murals. It highlights a few notable people of Cuthbert, including Fletcher Henderson Jr. and NFL football great Rosie Greer, who also was born here. And you can't forget about John Alfred Cuthbert. The town took his name, and he was a representative of Georgia, 1819 to 1821. We will now walk around the main square and try not to get hit by a car. These buildings, I assume, were built in the early 1900s. The intricate roof designs make them stand out. Many of the storefronts have amazing Christmas displays. On Plum Street, this appears to be an old livery stable or a carriage house, built in a time when visitors used to travel by horse.
We're going to make our way over to the old courthouse.
Here's another of Cuthbert's murals.
The old courthouse sits a little off the square.
It sits next to the post office and the old City Hall building. This 1929 American LaFrance fire truck served the city well, becoming instrumental in fighting a fire at a local hospital in 1946. The historic Randolph County Courthouse was built in 1886. It is now the Chamber of Commerce. On the north side of the courthouse is this local example of a rolling store. It served the nearby counties from 1957 to 1962.
And you can't go on a walking tour without seeing some of the town's iconic churches.
On the corner of Lumpkin and Church Street is the Cuthbert United Methodist Church. Being a Methodist church, it's appropriate that its neighbor, the Clark McDonald House, is used by the Methodist-affiliated Andrew College for housing their president. Next to the Cuthbert United Methodist on Church Street is the First Presbyterian Church, which was erected in 1900.
Now we're going to finish up our walk by heading back to the old square.
On Lumpkin Street, I passed by the old Carnegie Library, which was built in 1918 by money donated to Cuthbert by businessman Andrew Carnegie.
I'm almost back to the old town square.
Back at the main square, I arrive at the town park. Cuthbert was incorporated in 1834, and its early courthouses once stood right here before the courthouse we just visited was built in 1886. In the center of the park rises a massive Confederate monument. This spot at night will glow with Christmas lights powered by the town's electricity, bright, festive, and welcoming. But west of here, where our Cuthbert tour ends, is a story where electricity powered something far more terrifying.
This is the grave of Lena Baker.
She was the first and only woman executed in Georgia's electric chair, known as Old Sparky. Lena defended herself from mistreatment by a local businessman, but was charged with capital murder and died by electrocution in 1945. Years later, she was posthumously pardoned, and most agreed that in today's court, she would have faced far less severe punishment. Her story was even brought to film in 2009 in the Lena Baker Story. As I wrap up my visit here in Cuthbert, I leave grateful for the chance to learn its history, walk its streets, and tell some of the stories that shaped this community. It's been a journey worth taking.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed my video today here in Cuthbert, Georgia. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And may Lena Baker rest in peace. And always remember, your adventure awaits with the Danovator. I'll see y'all the next time.